All right, welcome back to the show. Woman Wednesday. Shouts out to all of the ladies listening to the Doug Stewart Show. Best of enemies. ESPN 30 for 30 last night. Boston Celtics versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Coming in at number 5 on my list of top 5 sports rivalries of all times. The Dallas Cowboys versus the Washington Redskins. Just a lot of hatred in that series. And that's pretty much what my list comes down to is the tension and the hate between the two fan bases, the two organizations and its players. How long has the rivalry been around? Has it stood the test of time? And Cowboys versus Redskins, I will say this and kind of giving you a preview of how I determine my top 5 rivalries is real tension, not play tension. And I look at the college games, basketball and football, filled with a lot more hatred, pure hatred than the pro games for obvious reasons. The pros, they get drafted. They're not from that particular state. There's really no history between the players and that particular organization and that city and that state or whatever, whereas that's exactly what you have in college football and college basketball. You know, a lot of these players on these teams in college, they're from the state. Their families have followed that program for a long, long time. And so there's a lot more pure, real vitriol between, college programs than I think in the NFL and in basketball or whatever, baseball. And so coming in at number 5 on my list, though, is the Dallas Cowboys versus the Washington Redskins. That's always a cute thing as well. The Cowboys versus the Indians and, the mascots and all of the great players and all of the great history because these two teams have won Super Bowls. So that makes for a good rivalry, definitely. So number 5 on my list of top 5 rivalries of all times is Cowboys versus Redskins. Today is also What's the Answer Wednesday. Call the show at 404-382-0338. We'll ask you a trivia question, and we'll take your thoughts on the most heated rivalries in sports and any thoughts that you have on the 30 for 30 last night, Best of Enemies. In the chat room on Spreaker.com, Montana Jones says the exact opposite of me. He says, last night proved to me that these kids today would kill guys from the 80s. They were so small and slow. I vehemently disagree with you, sir. At the end of the day, it's all depends, and we talked about this, I think, a couple of days ago. It depends on the style of play. It depends on what the referees are going to let go and what they don't let go. If they call the game like they call the game today, yeah, Golden State would have an advantage because you can't touch anybody today. All right? You can't touch anybody today. But if they call the game and they allowed physical play, i.e. Kevin McHale clotheslining Kurt Rambis, and him almost landing on his neck, Lakers win easily. And really it all comes down to that, man. I don't care nothing about how fast or whatever. All of that skill, all of that speed, that agility, and all of that would be negated if cats were able to hold you, hand check you. If you knew every time you went to the basket that there was a good chance that you were going to get clotheslined, that would slow your ass down a little bit. You feel me? That would slow your ass down a little bit if you knew that you came in the paint and you was going to get one of them left-handed clotheslines, you would think second. You would have second thoughts about that. And so it's all depending on how they would call the games and the best teams from yesteryear compared to the best teams of the day. From RC says, besides the Green Bay Packers, there's not a team I despise more than those Celtics. Oh, my gosh. From RC, ML Carr had the nerve to say he enjoyed being perceived as being white playing for the Celtics. That was another huge part of the documentary from last night as well, is they really laid it on the table about this division between the white Boston Celtics players and the black L.A. Lakers. The Boston Celtics played basketball, quote-unquote, the way it's supposed to be played. And the Lakers played basketball like they play on the streets. They played street ball, up and down, and Boston did all of this fundamental stuff that they were doing back when Red Auerbach was the coach, and they did basketball, they played basketball the right way, and all of that crap, man. So that's a huge part of it. I mean, probably one of the reasons why today you find very few black Boston Celtics fans, at least my era and my age, You know, you got one or two, like Chucktown Frank somehow is a Boston Celtics fan. There's like one or two sprinkled amongst people, you know, the people that watch basketball, but not a lot. Another interesting thing last night was how, okay, we knew you had racial tension in Boston. That city is known for racial tension as well. But you win 6-7 championships, and they said probably 2,000 or 3,000 people that would come to the games. Yeah. They said fans wouldn't even support the Boston Celtics mainly because they had a couple of black players on the team. And the prominent black players on the team, obviously with Bill Russell, like they didn't even get fan support, which you would think is crazy. If you're winning, they're wearing your team's colors, they represent your city, you would think a rational person would go and root for the team. You may not be rooting for a particular person, but you would come and root for the team. No. Allegedly, Boston sports fans did not support those teams in the 60s that won like 8 championships. They didn't support them at all. They did not come to those games, which is crazy. From Rail Scott in the chat on Spreaker.com. He said, I realized that I hated Danny Ainge since I was 10 years old, and that hasn't changed. 30 for 30. Out of all of the Boston Celtics players, man, ML Carr, he's a freaking clown. Robert Parrish, I hated him too, the damn chief. Larry Bird, obviously the hick from French Lick, hated him because he was such a good player. I think I hate Danny Ainge more than all of them jokers. Danny Ainge just always had this persona, man, and an air about him of just arrogance and the looks on his face and doing all of these little dirty things, man. And you know he was a freaking scrub and he got away with a bunch of stuff, man. I hated Danny Ainge. Chucktown Frank, who I just talked about just now, being the only black Celtic fan that I know in America. He says the whole show is based on the Celtics. We gave the bitch-ass Lakers 6 minutes of fame. I'm just going to ignore you, sir. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to ignore all of your messages today and talking about Celtics versus Lakers. From Miss Mocha Bella in the chat room on Spreaker.com. Good morning to the sharpest dresser in the chat with his ties, Rail Scott. Good morning, Rail Scott. Good morning, Mocha Bella in the chat room on Spreaker.com. From Run, racist-ass boss to CNC Grego. Grego probably watched that 30 on 30 with a big-ass smile on his face while the cheating-ass Celtics won. Right. Loose neck side. I hated Danny Ainge. I was so glad when Tree Rollins went Hannibal Lecter on his fingers. Right. Oh, my gosh. Tiffany Sports and Heels. He says, it's funny to me that Donnie Wahlberg is narrating the Celtics piece, especially when talking about racial tension in Boston during the 50s and 60s, as he was once convicted of racially motivated crime in Boston. Right. That was perfect. That was perfect to get one of them Wahlberg boys from Boston to narrate this thing, and then they get Ice Cube to narrate the whole thing from the Lakers side. I mean, I thought that was a perfect choice. You couldn't get better choices to narrate the thing last night. From Run CNC, he says, Chuck, they're doing Laker 2 wins against Boston tonight. RC, did y'all see Michael Cooper last night in that documentary? If he rolled you in a car, you get a ticket for tinted windows. That brother was on. That brother was Wesley Snipes, Yaphet Kotto black. Laugh out loud. Nothing wrong with that man blackness. Blacker the berry, sweeter the juice, sir. How dare you? From Tiffany Sports and Heels, I like Ice Cube narrating the Lakers portion. Nice touch. I agree. I just mentioned that just now. From Sin, Tiffany, we know the deal with that. Laugh out loud. From Tiffany Sports and Heels, Cedric, they wouldn't mention that. He's Boston's golden boy. Talking about the Wahlberg kid, probably. RC, ML Carr had the nerve to say he enjoyed being perceived as white playing for Boston. I think I read that earlier. Damn, ML Carr. So for the young people listening to the show and, want a little behind the scenes of the behind-the-scenes documentary Best of Enemies last night, ML Carr was probably the 12th person on the bench. Like, they showed a clip of him last night, and he had, like, a big steal in one of the games in one of the series finals, the final series, which I don't remember at all. Like, I don't remember ML Carr actually playing a minute for the Boston Celtics back in the day. All I remember ML Carr doing is on the sideline with that damn towel being a freaking big-ass cheerleader. And he had the nerve to be all deep into this damn documentary last night. Man, sit your ass down, ML Carr. From Run, racist ass boss of CNC, he says, how you think Magic got all them girls? That owner had to show him the lifestyle. Laugh out loud. Yeah, they kind of made it seem like Jerry Buss was some type of playboy. Like he was on them streets hard. He wore nice clothes. He had the cool little mustache back when white people weren't wearing mustache back in the day, when they weren't wearing mustaches. And he was always at the nightclubs, and he was Hollywood. And they made it seem like he was like some type of Tony Stark, like this rich philanthropist playboy. And him and Magic used to hang out. Like, you can't hang out with management. Players can't hang out with management. That's against, like, some type of unwritten rules of sports or life in general. It's like definitely breaking some type of a guy rule. But Magic Johnson was hanging out with the owner, not a little bit. They said a lot. And the players resented it, man. And very interesting to find out. From Chucktown Frank, once again, I'm going to read one more of your damn messages in this chat, Mr. Celtics fan. He says, damn, Rel, I'm going to need you to reach deep into your monk's going to blood and not fall for that Philly-ish. Philly is mad because the capital was moved from there to D.C., and they blame Boston and Paul Revere. Man, shut your ass up, man, Chucktown Frank. From Angry Black Man, sounds like Doug is saying he didn't really know anything about his alleged favorite team, the Lakers. Oh, fake fan. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response. From Run Racist Ass Boston CNC, the part that tripped me out is how stupid them games were. They let Jerry West do some trades that got them the number one pick, which was James Worthy. I wouldn't call them stupid trades. A lot of times, we mentioned this last week, and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. A lot of times you feel like you're getting good value in trades, and it doesn't work out that way. Doesn't mean that the Lakers did anything unscrupulous or anything like that. They just happen to make better trades than everybody else. It happened to work out that way. That's all. No big deal. And you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show. From RC, Golden State wouldn't have an answer to Magic either. They wouldn't have an answer to Magic. They wouldn't have an answer to Kareem. Period. And who was it? I can't remember who it was earlier said that these players today are so much faster and stronger. I think, yeah, that's accurate. That's just because of progress. That's the way it works out. You know, people get bigger, faster, and stronger over time. You look at the players in football back in the 70s, you had 250-pound, 240-pound offensive linemen back during those times. So that's true. But still standing the test of time is Kareem in the paint, 7'4" tall, and Magic Johnson as a 6'9" point guard. You trying to tell me Steph Curry would be able to guard Magic Johnson? And they would have to do some type of other matchup or whatever. But, I mean, Steph on Clay or Thompson, Magic had that great low post game as well whenever he wanted to. Obviously, in a championship game, he scores 45-plus points playing center. So any smaller point guard are going to get the business from Magic. They are absolutely going to get the business from Magic. Magic Johnson being guarded by Steph Curry, like you would almost have to try to hide Steph. Because if you look at the Lakers starting five and you're listening to the Doug Stewart Show, if you look at that starting five, man, there's nobody on that team that Steph could have guarded. Maybe Byron Scott, but Byron Scott was long, very, very athletic. He would bully Steph. I mean, there's no question at all. Like, it would be a terrible matchup problem for the Golden State Warriors against Magic Johnson or against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, no doubt. Yes, they shoot the three ball. Basketball back in the day, they didn't shoot the three ball like they do now at the rate that they do now. You just wouldn't be any answer for Kareem and Magic. It wouldn't be any answer. Ooh, last night I remembered and I was reminded about how great of a finisher that James Worthy was. You're talking 6'9", and on that fast break, man, Worthy used to just swoop in and dunk on your ass. It wouldn't be any answer for him either. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be. Hey, when we get back from the break, man, More of your messages in the chat room on Spreaker.com. And